Hello everyone, it's Arlina from Yarnalina, and today we're going to be making a crochet blue summer cardigan. So you're first going to need a 3mm crochet hook, a measuring tape, scissors, a yarn needle, and buttons in 15mm. I will link these down below in the Yarnalina blog where you can go down and find the links for all of these materials. And you're also going to need rainbow 8N4 quality 100% cotton from Hobby Yarn in the color 32, in the color 1, in the color 2, in the color 27, in the color 30, color 26, and in the color 28, and in the color 29. So without further ado, let's get started. I forgot to mention, in addition to a 3mm crochet hook, you're also going to need a 3.5mm one. For the stitches, you're going to be working with the 3.5mm hook, and we're first going to start off with the actual cluster stitch. So you're first going to work in a multiple of 4 plus 3 for your foundation chain. And for this example, I'll be working with 19 chains. So you're going to make a slip knot, chain. And then you're going to half double crochet across. Just going to yarn over. You're going to half double crochet across for your first row. For row 2, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. And in the next stitch, you're going to single crochet. Then you're going to chain 2, skip 2, and work a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet into the next stitch. Skip 2. So a double crochet, 2 chains, and a double crochet again in the same stitch. Then you're going to chain 2, and again skip 2, and work a single crochet into the next. Chain 2, a double crochet, 2 chains, and a double crochet again in the same stitch. And you're going to do a double crochet into your last stitch. Then for your third row, you're going to chain 4, turn your work, and work a treble into the next stitch. And for the chain 2 space here, you're going to have 3 double crochet clusters. Chain 2. Then chain 1 when you move on to the next. Chain 2 space. And for the last stitch, you're going to work a treble. Then for your row 4, you're going to chain 2, turn your work, double crochet into the next stitch, so the treble that you just worked, and then you're going to chain 1 and double crochet into each chain spaces, and then chain 1, double crochet into each chain space, and again chain 1. Then to move on to row 5, you're going to chain 2, double crochet into the next stitch, and in each stitch and chain spaces across, you're going to double crochet. After you finish double crocheting across for row 5, you're simply going to repeat row 2 to 5 for the astro cluster stitch pattern. And now that we're done with the astro stitch pattern, we're going to move on to the picot stitch. For the picot stitch, you're going to be chaining in a multiple of 5 plus 2. So for the sample, I'm going to chain 12. And for round 1, you're going to single crochet into the second chain from your hook. Then you're going to chain 5. Then you're going to skip 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and into the 5th chain, into the 5th stitch, you're going to single crochet. And then again, you're going to chain 5 and skip 4. Then for round 2, you're going to chain 6 and turn your work. And then you're going to count from the 3rd chain of the 5th chain arc. You're going to single crochet into that 3rd chain. Then you're going to chain 3, and in that same chain you're going to single crochet, and that's 8 picot stitch. Then you're going to chain 5 and do the same of the 3rd chain. You're going to make a single crochet and 3 chains and another single crochet. And then for the last, you're going to chain 2 and treble into the last stitch. Then for row 3, you're going to chain 1, single crochet into the 1st stitch, then chain 5. You're going to skip the first picot you made and work into the 3rd chain from the chain 5 arc, and again you're going to make a picot of a single crochet, 3 chains, and a single crochet again into the same stitch. Then you're going to chain 5, make a picot, and single crochet into the last stitch. Then you're simply going to repeat row 2 and 3 to form your entire pattern for the picot stitch. After the picot stitch, now we're going to move on to the spider stitch. For the spider stitch, you're going to chain in a multiple of evens. So for this sample, I'm going to chain 16. After you chain your even stitches, you're going to yarn over and double crochet twice in the same stitch. Then you're going to chain 2, and in that same stitch you're going to have another 2 double crochets. Then you're going to skip 3, 2, 3, and work the same stitch that you made here of 2 double crochets, 2 chains, and another 2 double crochets. After you reach the end of the row, you're going to chain 2 and work the same stitches into the chain 2 space. And just like that, you're simply going to repeat row 2 all across to build up the spider pattern. After you're done with the spider stitch, we're now going to move on to the window pane stitch. For the window pane stitch, you're going to chain in an even multiple. So for this sample, I'm going to be chaining 12. And now you're going to double crochet into the 3rd chain from your hook, chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet into the next. So again, chain 1 and double crochet into the next. Then for row 2, you're going to again chain 2 and double crochet into the 1st stitch, then chain 1 and double crochet into where every single stitch lies. So not the chain 1 space, you're going to work into the double crochets. And that will be your window pane stitch. After you learn the astral cluster stitch, picot stitch, the spider stitch, and the window pane stitch, these 4 stitches will be what you will use to create your summer cardigan. So with a combination of these 4 stitches, you'll start to see a pattern like so, just like your sleeve. And I'm going to quickly go over what we're going to be doing with our body panel first. For the body panel ribbing and the sleeve ribbing, I'm going to be working with a 3mm crochet hook. And for our body panel ribbing, you're going to chain 13 for a size of small. Then you're going to half double crochet across. After you're done half double crocheting across, you're going to chain 2 and back loop half double crochet across into the back of the V. And for my size of small, I'm going to repeat this row 2 pattern of back loop half double crochets for a total of 70 rows. After you made your body panel ribbing, you're going to grab your 3.5mm crochet hook. And you're going to choose one of the colors as you make a slip knot. Then you're going to chain 2. Then you're going to half double crochet across. Excuse me, you're going to double crochet across. There are no specific stitch holes along the length of the ribbing, so you're simply going to have to estimate which holes to make a stitch in, and make sure to not put too much stitches, since if you have too much stitches, the ribbing will start to expand sideways, and if you have too less stitches, a hint will be that the stitch of the ribbing will start to clump together. So after you double crocheted across, you're going to start using the picot stitch, the spider stitch, the astral cluster stitch, and the window pane stitch, and you're simply going to variate between these 4 stitches along with different colored yarns all across, and build up the length of the body panel by simply differentiating between these by variating between these 4 stitches all across to build up the body panel. So I'll meet you back when I'm done building up my body panel between these 4 stitches. For the 2 front panel pieces, you'll be working the same ribbing as you did for the back panel, except you'll have a total of 29 rows for my size of small. And I'll get back to you when we start working our decreases for the front panel. For the front panel piece, after you're done with the 3 colors of a window pane stitch, the astral cluster stitch, and a picot stitch, and after you made a 4 double crochet and chain 1 space to prepare for the holes from the picot stitch to the spider stitch, you're going to then chain 2 and skip 6 stitches, 3, 6, and work into the 7th stitch. After your 6 stitch decrease and you crocheted a spider stitch row across and chain 2, continuing a flat edge on one side, you're going to spider stitch all the way back, and once you meet the 6 stitch decrease, you're going to make a single crochet, then chain 2, turn your work, and then you're simply going to spider stitch all the way back. And now you're simply going to work with this decreased nook. As you continue and grow your front panel, the decrease will start to be more apparent as you grow the front panel itself. And after you reach a total of 7 rows, you're going to cut and snip your yarn and work another front panel, so you have a total of 2 front panels. And I'll meet you back to work on the sleeves. After you're done making 2 of the same front to body panel pieces, you're going to move on to the sleeves. For the sleeve cuffs, I have a total of 10 chains for my size of small and 24 rows. And after I work that with my 3mm hook, you're now going to switch to your 3.5mm hook, and then you're going to start and grow onto the length of the ribbing. Though the difference between the sleeve cuffs ribbing and the body panel ribbings is that you're going to chain 2, and then instead of only double crocheting across, you're going to have 2 double crochets in each stitch. And again, since there are no specific stitch holes, you're just going to have to estimate the amount of stitches that you should hold in each stitch or gap. But then at the same time, you're going to have a widened rib, so it's not going to be pinned straight up, since the increases in general are supposed to make the ribbing go out, since we are trying to have a somewhat baggy sleeve look for the cardigan. So you're going to increase all the way across and start your actual cluster stitch pattern. After you double crochet across with all your increases you made the first row or the second row after your double crochet row, your second row of your actual cluster stitch. And just as an overview for your sleeves, after you have 2 double crochets for your third row of your actual cluster stitch, you have 2 treble crochets here, and again 2 treble crochets here. And after you made your double crochet in chain 1 and your row 5 repeat where it should end around here, I added another window pane stitch of a double crochet and a chain 1 stitch, again just to layer it up a little bit more. But then your increased stitches around to grow the width of your sleeves will only end at your treble crochets here. So after that treble crochet, you're also going to have an extra double crochet on the fourth row of your actual cluster stitch. So after your trebles on the side, your 2 trebles on your third row, and for your fourth row of a chain 1 and double crochet, you're going to have an extra double crochet here and here on the beginning and the end. And for your 5th row, you're simply going to add another double crochet 2 at the very sides only for your first stitch, and you're going to double crochet across, and at the very end add an extra 2 double crochets at the end for 1 stitch. And after that, you're simply going to have a line of an entire row of double crochets. So your 4th row, you should have 2 double crochets in your 5th row of the entire astral cluster stitch, which is a 5-row repeat. You're going to have 2 double crochets at the end as well. And for your extra row 4 and 5 repeat, in addition to the 5 rows for the astral cluster stitch, you're going to have 2 double crochets at the very ends as well. Very end and at the very start for 2 double crochets, and again 2 double crochets here. And after you repeated that for a total of 7 rows for your astral cluster stitch row, that will be the entire increase pattern that you will need at the very edges, for an increase row entirely at the bottom and an increase row only starting after the 3rd row of your astral cluster stitch of a total of 5. And after you had 2 trebles for row 3 and 2 double crochets for row 4, and again 2 double crochets for row 5 and 2 double crochets for row 6 and 7, that will be the entirety of an increase for your sleeves. And after that, you're simply going to repeat normally as your stitches. After you're done with the 7 rows, you're simply going to repeat normally as your 7 rows for the spider stitch, picot stitch, window pane stitch, again the astral cluster stitch, and the spider stitch. And after you've repeated these 6 colors, you're going to repeat this twice and you'll be done with your 2 sleeves. And after that, let's get on to the assembly. And this is what my body panel looks like with the window stitch and astral cluster stitch, the picot stitch, and the spider stitch. And this is what my body panel looks like. After you're done making the 2 sleeves with the astral cluster stitch, spider stitch, picot stitch, window pane stitch, astral cluster stitch, and the spider stitch, after you finish 2 of the sleeves, we're now going to move on to the assembly. After you folded both of the sleeves in half and sewed together along the edge so you have 2 complete sleeves, you're going to work on the body panels where you're going to sew together the front to the back by sewing together the top edges to form the shoulders. And after you leave an armhole for the sleeves, you're going to sew together the front to the back of the side edges here. And after you replicate the sides on the other side as well, from the armhole to the way down, as well as the shoulder panels, you're now going to sew it all together. After you're done sewing together your body panels and your sleeves, you're now going to work on the neck collar ribbing. So you're going to work the same as you did for the sleeve cuffs and the body panel ribbing, where you'll have a total of 16 chains and a total of 128 rows for my size of small. And I'll meet back to you after I finish sewing the ribbing onto the neck collar. And this is how your crochet summer cardigan should turn out like. Its free written pattern is linked in the description below on the Yarnalina blog. And make sure to comment down below what color you chose to make your summer cardigan. And make sure to subscribe for more crochet content as this, and I'll see you next time. Bye!